Welcome to Tiki Man and the Viking podcast. He is Tiki Man.
I am H.B. Burlow, the historical crime fiction author of the Wichita Chronicles series, and he is the Viking.
I am William Bryan Johnson, author of Hell to Pay, The Dark Cry of Aristed, and coming June 25th, Middle-Aged Man in a Trash Can.
You decided to release your book on my birthday? How nice of you.
I know. It's a present. It's a present that'll keep giving.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, tonight we're doing the second roundtable, and we'll be discussing time management. But why don't you tell our listeners who we have tonight?
All right. First up is Aleasha Wells Shelnutt. When she joined the Oklahoma Writers Federation, Inc. in 2015, she was looking to find her people and reclaim her voice. Since that time, she's worn enough hats to resemble a Dr. Seuss character. Contest volunteer, first vice president, second vice president, conference coordinator, president, past president, a favorite, and now editor and technical director. And despite a glow-in-the-dark sucker tattoo that she has on her forehead, she's discovered that her plan is working. She has entered contests and won several awards on her work, published on blogs, written newsletters, and is slowly but surely tiptoeing out of her comfort area more and more. Outside the organization, Aleasha is the force behind Studio Promessa, blending creative chaos, strategic organization to offer writing, editing, design, and other services to help writers, small businesses, and individuals. When she's not wrangling deadlines, she's managing the mayhem of the nut house, a household overflowing with boys, fur babies, way too many coffee cups, and just enough chaos to keep the inspiration flowing.
Wow.
Welcome, Aleasha.
Hi.
So are you one person or many?
Depends on the day.
You know, for all of that, for as long as I've known you, you've always at least appeared to have your act together. So I guess it's fake it till you make it. So you're doing great.
Definitely fake it till you make it.
Fantastic. So who else do we have with us tonight?
Also with us tonight is Nicholas Lyon, the author of the award-winning novel, The Baptist Bootlegger, a historical fiction novel set in the time of Prohibition in Oklahoma. He's been writing since taking a creative writing class in college. He's been a member of the writing groups Red Dirt Writers and Rose Rock Writers, as well as a member of the Oklahoma Writers Federation, Inc. When he's not writing, he's teaching high school English and speech. He's a dad, a husband. He's a guitar player in the band The Dead Armadillos, and he's a woodturner and currently lives in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Welcome, Nick.
It's a very nice. It's a very nice community.
It is a very nice community.
Oh my goodness, I've known Nick from when he was a long-haired pseudo hippie. You can't really be a hippie at your age. You have to be like older, but you were a wannabe hippie, and now he's just cleaned up his act, at least appearance wise. He's still the same guy with the same attitude, which is always great. Always great.
Yeah.
And can we say award-winning speech teacher?
Award-winning speech teacher. Yeah, we can say that.
Congratulations.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
And proud too. I mean, you post a lot of your class and what they're doing, and you defer it all on them, which they must be happy about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're the ones doing the work. I'm just taking them to the contests.
driving safely, of course, correct?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Of course. Well, tonight's roundtable is about basically time management. Everybody and their mother knows about the work-life balance that we always talk about between our jobs and our home life. But if you're a writer or an artist of any kind, a musician, painter, sculptor, anything, if you do any kind of art, you have to squeeze that into work and life. So we're just opening it up and talking, how do you guys manage to get anything creative done given your work and given your home?
Well, I'll go first, Aleasha, if that's okay.
Yeah. Take it away.
Thank you. So I do a lot. I do have a lot of extracurricular activities, and with my kids getting older, they have extracurricular activities that take up some time. Speech season is forever long. We start as soon as school starts, and state is not until April.
Hmm.
So I'm going and going and going. This Friday and Saturday is regionals. I'll be involved in
Yeah.
that all day Friday, all day Saturday. And then we got a couple weeks and then we'll be at regionals. And then on top of that, we also do a community uh, murder mystery in Crescent, and I write it. And then I give my kids characters, and then they go and stand around in town, and people can go and ask them questions, and they get clues and try to solve the murder. So I've
That
been
sounds like a blast.
it's a good time. This will be my third year doing that. So that's the last weekend of April because that's Independent Bookstore Day, and we do it in conjunction with our bookstore up in Crescent. So yeah, so I'm fairly busy most of the time, and so trying to find that balance can be difficult sometimes. And so one of the things that's really helped me is ensuring that I write every single day, and then that way I just do it, and it's just like, okay, it's time for me to go write. And I just kind of know I write better in the evenings than I do in the mornings. And so once my boys are in bed and Ashley's doing whatever she's doing, my wife, then I go and sit down at my computer and I do some writing. And so I usually try to get about 400 to 500 words a day. And then, and that's kind of, I just try to make sure that I do it at some point. And it doesn't matter where I am. I was in Dallas yesterday morning and I got up and I wrote in Dallas, and so it doesn't matter where I am. I'm going to pause and take some time to write.
It's kind of like keeping your muscle memory in terms of what writing is all about. Is that
Yes.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow. Now, Aleasha, you have the nut house, as you dramatically described, or Brian dramatically described.
Accurately.
So if yours is a nut house only by virtue of the name Shelnutt, how do you keep it balanced and focused?
So I think scheduling is really important, like what Nick was talking about. But on the flip side, when you live in chaos, it doesn't always work out so well. So I think flexibility can also be really important.
Okay.
It's funny because, balance has always been a very important thing in my life. I decided somewhere mid-parenthood that balance was the secret to life. And then I spent, and mostly that was because I didn't have any and I so desperately needed it. So I spent a decade or two chasing it and wondering, if this is the key, how do we get it? And then at some point I thought, I think that we are misinterpreting what life balance is, because it's not going to be like a weighted scale where everything's stagnant and equally balanced at all times. It's more fluid than that. It's more like a bear at the circus on the ball with the spinning plates, and nothing's ever going to be perfectly balanced at any one given time, but the balance is over the course of the entire act. So I think sometimes it's finding that flexibility, having the schedule, don't get me wrong, but then, being forgiving with yourself and figuring out how to pivot when you need to in order to not let the plates fall.
And I think that's very important is, we all, and it seems like life just gets busier and busier, but like you said, having time stating, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try to get this many words, but it's that balance of trying to make sure that you're getting the creative stuff done,
Right.
and you'll do it again.
That's a balance as well too, because if you say, Nick is fortunate, he's found the time to write 400 or 500 words every single day. That keeps him connected. On the other hand, you have to have, Nick. So, for example, what if there's something really dramatic that popped up that took you away from that writing every day thing? Does it create a hiccup, or is it just it's okay and I'm moving on and there'll be tomorrow?
It's definitely okay, and I definitely move on. I had that happen probably about a month ago. I was at a speech competition. We left Crescent at 6 a.m. and I got back into my house at 10:30 p.m.
Ooh.
And so by the time I got home, I had completely even forgotten about writing. And so the next morning when I woke up, I just was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't even write today or yesterday." So I just moved on, and I was like, I might miss one day, but I'm not gonna miss 2 days. And so I just made sure that and I wasn't like I was gonna push myself and be like, I have to write the 400 words from yesterday today.
Right.
I'm just gonna
Right.
stick with my goal of the words that I want to write today, and I'm gonna get that done. If I happen to have some extra ones, cool. If not, that's fine too. Whatever.
Mhm.
But I definitely want to try to achieve my goal. And if I miss a day, I miss a day. Whatever.
And
What is
I
no, go
think
ahead.
another important thing is we kind of talked almost like I like calling it a circadian rhythm. I don't know if that's the correct term for it, but we know when we're going to be our most productive. We know
Hmm.
when
Right.
it's good to be in front of a keyboard. There are times that I've had an hour and I said, hey, I'm going to try to sit down and write something that's outside that time, and it may work or it may just completely fail with me staring at the cursor. I think knowing that first and foremost is most important.
Hmm. Yeah, and
No,
Agreed.
sometimes sitting down and even thinking about writing is part of the writing process. And so,
Mhm.
well, and there are times when you can do other things that are going to be an input into your brain or to your creativity. Uh, I have saved several old crime TV shows, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and of an evening, if I'm not up for writing, I'll watch one of those and just watching the clothing, the hairdo, the cars from the 70s is enough to give that impact or that impetus for when I am ready. Plus, you might not be ready. If I'm actively working on a novel right now and I'm not 100% sure where it's going, so to force yourself to sit down and write on that project may be adverse as opposed to properly impactful.
And to kind of piggyback on that, I'm basing most of my writing on Norse sagas and Icelandic sagas. So I'm going back and reading a lot of those and reading some scholarly papers. And unfortunately, sometimes they tend to miss a lot of information. And it's just stuff that's been lost to time. So it's like, how can I make this up? How can I make this sound correct? And I'm writing a fantasy world, so it's not going to be 100%. I'm not a scholar writing this. I'm a fantasy author using that as the basis for my writing and calling it good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, for you guys, what does the creative part of your life do for you? Is it the thing that you escape to, or is it the thing that reinvigorates you? Because life is busy, as we've discussed. Life is hectic. It can get to anybody. Nobody's 100% balanced mentally, emotionally. So when there's the opportunity for we know that about you for the almost 2 years. Thank you. But so when you get the opportunity for that creative time period, those 400 to 500 words, Nick, or whatever time you get, Aleasha, what does it represent to you? Is it an escape from the difficulties, or is it that place you go to basically plug in and recharge?
For me, probably more. It's kind of funny. A little bit both, right? I am escaping to it, and when I get there, I'm plugging in and recharging. Um, and it may depend on what's going on in my life at the time, and how difficult it is for me to, extricate myself from whatever's going on around me. Um, but it definitely does give that invigoration, and it's a part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I meant in my intro about, needing to reclaim my voice. I'd gone a very long time silencing myself. And so, it's reconnected me with my voice and who I am. So very much a recharge for me.
yeah, I'd say the same for me. Just plugging in and recharging is really it because I have all kinds of other ways to escape. I love video games and I love turning wood and I love playing guitar and I do all those things for escape. But writing is like, I mean, there's days I don't want to write, and I come in here and I'm like, God, I don't even want to do this. And I sit down and I just start typing away and like, 10, 15 minutes later, I look up and I'm hitting 500 words and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I did want to write today. And then I definitely feel better. And there's always a little bit of guilt that is associated with not writing. And so when I am writing every day, I think there's, sometimes a question about, what makes you a writer? Is it you got a book published, you won an award, you got an editor, an agent, whatever it is? And for me, it's writing every day makes me feel like a writer. And so like if somebody, if somebody says, "Oh, you're a writer?" I'm like, "Yeah." I can actually honestly say that because I'm writing every day. It's not like I don't have imposter syndrome right now because I'm really actually sitting down and writing every day, as opposed to, when I would do NaNoWriMo and write 50,000 words in a month and then not write again until March or something like that. And so like then I would get imposter syndrome. I'm like, I'm not really a writer, but doing this every day, I definitely feel that makes me feel more like a writer than nearly everything. I won't say it makes me feel more like a writer than having my name on a book or whatever, but
which
that
feels
definitely
pretty good. Which feels pretty good. Yeah,
Yep.
Let's be
that
honest.
takes the cake. Opening a book of your or a box of your own books takes the cake. But
And how many videos and photos have we seen of writers doing just that? I mean, it never gets old. That feeling of that, you wrote it on your computer, you were back and forth with your editor, maybe this paper or something, until that physical item is in your hands, and you go, "Oh my goodness, I did this."
Mhm.
yeah,
And there's still, it's not imposter syndrome. It's just that direct, tangible awareness of you did something.
And I tell my students, it's like there's two type of people out there. If you want to play video games, play video games. But if you want to write video games, you can create, and you're a creator. Otherwise, you're just a consumer.
Mhm.
Bingo. Now, as busy as both of you get, for the past, I don't know how many years, each of you has found the time to take 3 days each year to go down to Oklahoma City for a writers conference. I'm sure that may be recharging, but the moment you leave your house, I'm sure it feels like an escape. Is that true?
That is true. Even being elbows deep and trying to do a lot of the organizational stuff, it's still very much an escape. But I think it's an important part of the process of staying connected with other writers in the writing world. It does keep you grounded in writing, keeps it in the forefront of your mind, makes you more invigorated and wanting to do it, a little more hungry for it. So I think that critique groups, writing groups, conferences, workshops, all of these things are instrumental in helping you carve out time for writing.
Exactly. I felt that way for the past, when did I start going? 2012. I only missed COVID in 1 year when we were planning on buying a house, but I look forward to it every year. I seem to post the same 30-second video from the Blues Brothers where they say it's, 160 miles to Chicago, it's dark, we're wearing sunglasses, and they just storm out of the tunnel. And that's what I feel like every time I take off. And there's that feeling of you want to shake hands and hug everybody as soon as you see them, because it feels like a family reunion.
It is.
And again, it doesn't matter that you're going to encounter writers there of different genres, different skill sets, different publication, lists and so forth. Everybody is there primarily for the same reason, and you can feel that. Now, everybody usually feels at the end of the conference like, "This is great. I've got an idea for the next book. I'm going to go home and write it." How long does that feeling last for you?
The drive home.
And then existential dread fills in.
Yeah, and it's back to the real world.
The grind. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing for me is every year that I've gone, I've come down with my grocery shopping list, because when I get home on Sunday, I drop my suitcase off and immediately go grocery shopping. This kind of grounds me and makes me realize, oh, this is the real world. I can deal with the writing later, but that's what I need to do.
Yeah, and there's nothing quite like going to the writers conference. I remember my second time to go. I think it was that was when HB and I connected.
Okay.
The first time down in Norman. And I remember just like a stranger coming up to me at the conference, and her first question to me was, "What do you write?" And it was like this whole like dawning thing where it was just like, man, these people get me, like
Right.
I'm like this lonely dude sitting in a dark room tapping away at a keyboard, and then I can come to something like this, and these are all lonely people tapping away at
Right.
keyboards, and they
Right.
get it, and it doesn't matter what we write. Like, I mean, we're gonna find that common ground there. And yeah, on Saturday night at the awards banquet, we might be a little irritated with so and so for beating us or whatever, but all it does is drive us to go home and write a better story next year,
Right.
and keep entering and keep going and keep coming back, and it's just great. There's nothing quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I
10
mean,
minutes.
what we're looking at here is you balance some folks like Nick write regularly to keep their hand in the game, as it were. Aleasha finds the time wants to make a schedule, but doesn't feel bad if it doesn't fall through. And we've all agreed that the Writers' Conference or some direct connectivity is really the other way to at least keep the motivation going. And at least once a year, you've got that. If you come into a conference and you're at your lowest point, you know you're going to leave that conference on a high and at least be wanting to continue the journey.
Yeah, you're spending time with your people.
Yeah. Now, you guys, what are you guys working on anything now? I mean, Nick, you had the Baptist Bootlegger I remember we talked, there is a sequel potentially in the works.
Yeah, I haven't gotten back to it yet, but I'm going to. That's on my list of things to do. I just finished last week. I finished a 65,000 word novel. Just because I was writing every day, and I finally got to it, and I got to the end, and I think I took a break for a day from writing because I just felt I deserved it, but then got back to it. But so that'll start getting edited at some point. But right now I'm gonna get back to the sequel to the Baptist Bootlegger, and yeah, I got too much.
There you go.
Yeah.
Aleasha, what do you have? What irons do you have in the fire?
So I don't have like a particular book that I'm working on right now. What I've been doing is, it's funny. We have the writing contest with OWFI. And so I have decided to start trying to get outside my comfort zone and write in some of the categories that I don't really have much experience in.
Good.
So this year's kind of a year of exercise for me.
Good.
Where I'm just working on things and using that contest sort of as a guide for, let's try this, let's try this. And so that's been kind of liberating in a way. It's been fun.
What do you normally write?
When I was really young, it's funny, I remember writing before I remember anything else in my childhood. And back then, a long time ago, I wrote stories and things. And then as I got older, I lost the stories. I did poetry and then kind of moved into what I would call like the adult business of writing, where I do copywriting and I do, business writing. And so I've kind of gotten back into trying stories. So that's been really fun. And then trying some stories that are in genres that I never tried before, even when I was young. So it's been a good time. And I feel like I'm growing, and that's really what it's about, I guess.
I think that's the bottom line, is that no matter what the time constraints are, no matter what the motivation is, you're feeling a sense of accomplishment by just growing as a writer. And I think that we'll always have that feeling. So we're going to probably see both of you at this year's OWFI conference. It's, May 1st through the 3rd. That would be Conjuring the Mysteries of Writing. And we are grateful to have Nick Lyon and Aleasha Wales Shelnutt, two very important members of OWFI and dear friends. And we thank you for your time and your insights. Remember, OWFI.org. There's still time to register for the conference, right? Right?
Absolutely.
If we just get this posted quickly, maybe we'll have more people coming in to visit us.
That would be great.
And as we always end our shows, what do we say, Brian?
Read a book.
Read a book. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. You guys take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Tiki Man and the Viking Podcast brought to you by Rumination of Thunder Media. The following intro and outro music was used for this media project. The music Find Them by Alexander Nakrata. Free download from filmmusic.io. License Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International.